This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Options, what the modern world's all about.
Frank, I'd
yes.
just like to make an announcement.
Okay.
Did you know the first episode of Fantasy Football League was broadcast on this day in 1994?
I didn't know that.
Okay. Hashtag on this day.
How long ago was that?
I like that someone's put hashtag on this day.
Yeah, it used to be a thing, didn't it? On this day. And then it's been usually bigger stuff than that. Battles and, things. But that's... so that 94... 29 years.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Still going, of course. Don't forget, guys.
Yeah?
Not with me, though. So, do you remember I was talking last week about... I saw a historian doing a documentary about Henry VIII. Well, it was about Thomas Cromwell, actually, but he kept on about Anne Boleyn.
Yes.
And I've tracked him down. His name is Dermot McCulloch. Do you know him?
When you say I've tracked him down, that sounds a bit alarming. Will you turn up at his door?
Oh, no, but I just wanted to know who he was. And then I saw an interview with him talking, and he said that he'd probably been wrong in that documentary.
Oh, really?
He said Anne Boleyn. He said, I realise now from reading things that it should be said, and then he wasn't even talking about, he said Thomas Cromwell.
No.
So he's rewriting. Absolutely. So now it's Anne Boleyn and Thomas Cromwell.
Oh, dear.
Why doesn't he just go maximum authenticity and narrate the whole thing in Middle English?
Yeah.
If he really...
Henry the Eighth. He did eat a lot, of course.
He's almost trying to sort of cosify them, isn't he?
I think if they made a biopic of Henry VIII, Ben Stokes would be perfect, wouldn't he?
Well, he'd have to De Niro it up a bit with the old method.
No, but you
He's
could
a
just
thin lad.
you could quilt a jerkin. You can always quilt a jerkin. That's in my experience.
You're always saying that.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of my mottos. Oh, yeah, they're very good. We have text-ins on the show. Occasionally they're a little offbeat. I heard a very good one on Talk Sport this week, which I thought, oh, God, yes, that's respect.
Okay.
It was... what's the worst experience you've had with the phonetic alphabet? Fantastic. I love that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so anyway, so that's that. And, we went out last week.
Yes.
Me, Pierre and Emily went dining after the show. We didn't tell the staff. They know, looking at each other in a mixture of horror and hate.
I'd say a little bit. I'd say 7% relief.
Yeah, maybe. It's. I did that when I during my television career. When I did Room 101. I don't know if you remember that, baby, but
Are you addressing me?
we did. And yeah, exactly, baby. There was about 7 series, and every one of them I went to what they call the wrap party at the end, where everyone gathers and pats each other on the back and says, it's great, we'll see you next series. That. And when we got to 6 or 7, the producer said to me, I said, it might be a bit late this time, it's difficult, but I will get there, And he said... it's all right, he said, if you don't come. I said, no, I have to come. He said, I'll be honest with you, I think most people would prefer it if you didn't come.
No.
He said, I think everyone's a bit tense while you're there. They don't want to really, get drunk and have fun. And then when you go, it's actually quite good after you've gone.
What do you say?
I said, well, I won't come then. He said, you can come, but, I said, no, I will come. He said, okay then. So I didn't go, and everybody was happy. So I was thinking they'd be thinking, oh, does he think he's not coming? But in fact, they were thinking, why is he staying? Just go.
I think you did the right thing. It's like when a young relative invites you to their party. My niece invited me to her 21st. That's politeness. Would I have turned up? Of course I wouldn't. You can't go to the young people's events.
My nephew said, "Are you coming to my wedding?" I said, "Of course I'm coming to your wedding." He said, "It's in Bali." I said, "No." Well, I'm not going there. Ridiculous.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Does Eddie Izzard still wear a pink beret? Is that gone?
I don't know.
I love the way people, who's that MP who just wore a white suit at all times?
Martin, and I can't remember his surname.
Let's call him Martin.
He was Martin. He was
Phil, we know him well
I
enough.
would describe him as peak Martin.
But imagine making a decision. I'm just going to wear this all the time, and then people will know me better.
Yeah,
I quite like it. Charles Brandreth has done that a bit with the
jumpers, yeah.
The jumpers,
Yeah.
hasn't he?
But that is, do they pay, when he goes on the one show?
And he does.
Is the BBC paying for that jumper, or is he actually paying for all those terrible jumpers he'll never wear again?
Or is there some enormous, tyrannical, hideous jumper corporation that's getting free advertising from Giles's chest?
Free advertising. Yeah, because
fairness.
a lot of people think, I'd like one of those.
It was a thing for a while, the ironically hideous jumper.
Yes, it was.
But all ironic things, they don't last long. Look
in
at
fairness
Thomas
to
Cromwell.
In fairness to Charles Brandreth, to GB,
Yeah.
I saw him on something the other day and he made an observation. I thought, I think I'd really get on with you. I liked it. I liked his thinking. He was talking about traffic wardens and he said, what I object to is the fact that they wear a military uniform and they've got no business wearing that kind of style uniform. And he said they should all wear like clown outfits to make the experience nicer.
Or something knitted, maybe. And then he said, my corporation would be able to help them out.
Perhaps a high visibility.
So anyway, we went out for fish and chips.
Yes.
Me, Pierre and Emily. That was it was very impromptu, I say, to console some of the staff who were now in tears.
And what happened, Frank? It
Well,
was
I'll
a
tell
bit
you what we
strange.
did. I broke my... Because remember recently I decided that I was just going to have chips. Chips on their own. Chips and cheese are the two things you should eat on their own, and they shouldn't... Don't bother with fish, crackers, any of the things that normally accompany. If you have either chips or cheese, just eat them on their own. That's what I've realised. They don't need a chaperone. That's what I'm saying. But I broke it because they had roe. And that's my weakness.
Yeah.
A nice roe. Now, some people, especially the middle classes, I find, don't even know what roe is.
Don't they?
I once had quite a posh runner, and he said, there's a fish and chip shop I could get you some food from. This is on a show I was on. And I said, oh, great. Could you get roe and chips? And he said, yeah. You know the way some people just think, I'm going to just seem like I know everything. He said, yeah, I'll get roe and chips. And off he went. He came back with 7 roe and some chips. You normally have like 2 absolute max. But I just didn't know how many of these things that you ate. Anyway, when I ordered them in the shop, you will recall, Emily and Pierre, the guy very kindly said, it's not fish. It's fish eggs. And, of course, what I should have said was, yes, I like to get in early with the fish. But what I actually did, mistakenly, even though he was... I didn't feel his English was necessarily, he sounded like it was a second language. I told him quite a long anecdote about a thing that happened to me in an Indian restaurant when I ordered Bombay duck. And the man said, really? And I said, yeah, Bombay duck, please. He said, oh, well, I don't know if that's a good idea. I said, what do you mean? I'm just ordering it. And he said, only very old Indian men eat that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I want it anyway. And then he went away, and about 5 minutes later, I smelt one of the worst smells I'd ever smelt in my life, as if someone had opened a medieval grave. And it was the Bombay duck arriving,
Oh.
And Pierre, when I told this story, said, "Oh, you didn't know it was fish." No, I did know it was fish, Mr. Know-all, but I didn't think it would smell like that. Anyway, I told this long story as the man's eyes completely glassed over.
Can I just say he hated that story, and I felt awful for you because you'd gone in, you'd committed.
I realised halfway through. I should have known, really, because he had twin earrings, one on each ear.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever met a man with an earring in each ear that I've really got into any sort of deep relationship with.
Oh.
But anyway...
And other revelations I wasn't expecting this morning.
I could see him searching your story for why it meant that you had to have roe and how you knew it was eggs.
And,
but at the end, if you remember,
yes.
he said, "No, fish and chips." Traditional.
Yes.
And that was it. Like, I don't even want to hear stories about other cuisine. Get out of here with your cuisines from other places stories. Get lost. Oh, that reminds me of the double earrings thing. That's my sign. I remember there used to be a spin-off from Happy Days called Laverne and Shirley. Do you remember that? And one of them said she never trusted a man in a pinky ring. Pinky being your little finger. So anyone... And that really stuck with me. And if I met a man who'd got a ring on his little finger, I would be extremely suspicious of them as human beings.
Oh, it's quite... it's quite posh people, isn't it? You're going to have to get used to that.
So what's your warning signs? I'd love to know. What do you see from someone and think, oh, be careful of this one, 8, 12, 15?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Did you think there was a bit of a strange atmosphere in that fish and chip shop? I did.
The fish and
we haven't named it, so it's fine.
The roe and chips, I have to say, were lovely.
The food was lovely.
Traditional.
I'd like the roe.
Regarding pinky rings as a sign of distrust, it's an aristocratic thing originally to have a pinky ring. It's your signet ring. It's got your family coat of arms on, and it's indented, so you press it into a wax seal on an old-timey letter.
Is that right? That can't be what they were referring to in Laverne and Shirley, though, can it?
But it's a pretension to sort of... Like a classic, what's that movie with the con artist set in the south of France?
Oh, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yes, yeah, the sort of thing that one of those guys would put on to sort of go, I'm the lost Duke of
I see.
Schmoravia, and sort of, to trick wealthier dowagers.
I like the sound of him.
Yes, exactly.
Schmoravia sounds like one of the few Yiddish European states.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, so it's a signifier.
I never knew that. So the little finger, I should be looking for a family crest or something.
I've encountered a few gentlemen with pinkies in my time.
Yeah.
But did they have a crest or did they have initials?
What do you think?
I think they probably had a crest.
I know that I've come across the old initial.
Okay.
Yeah,
I never knew that, though. That's great news.
And I think that in France the tradition was to wear it inwards, so you'd only see your family crest if you opened your own palm. You wouldn't have it on display.
Well, I have issues with that. Which way up you wear things with writing on? Do you wear them so that when I look at it, like when Faye, our previous assistant producer, left the other week, she bought us all a name bracelet.
Yes,
lovely.
And I've got mine on now, and she put it on for me because it's quite tricky. And she's put it on so that when I hold it up, if I punch the air, then you can read it. But normally, when my hands are at my sides, or in my pockets, where they are most of the time, it's upside down to the world. What's the etiquette on that little thing? When you get that family crest on the pinky, is it when you look at the back of your hand, do you see, or is it for the world to read?
I think in the UK traditionally it was probably to make sure everyone else knew that you were one of the fancy lads.
When I order you a pinky ring with FSMBE on it, I sincerely hope you'll be displaying that to the world.
Well, I shall wear it facing me, of course, because at my age, a little aide de memoire for the name is a good thing to have. So anyway, the row was can I say, established the row was great. It was not, as I think they say in America, a tough row to hoe. It was a very melted in the mouth. But yeah, it was a strange experience, the chip shop.
Well, it got odd when we tried to pay, and there was a bit of an incident with the payment. And when
we were trying to split it three ways,
because that's what you do.
We're
Democrats. Keep it real. We Democrats,
Yeah.
exactly. And we put all our cards in, and then she put it all on one card. And when I sort of challenged her on this, I said, well, why did you think we put the other cards in if you put it all on one card? And she said, well, I thought you'd put your card in case his didn't work.
Yeah.
Like you, Frank.
But it
Which I
was
thought
good.
was rather insulting.
But it was good. I like it when people are thinking on their feet.
I
though.
quite liked it.
I mean, we should have been more specific about it.
Maybe
and said,
we should have.
split this three ways.
Yeah.
There was a moment of, you know what I like? There was a lovely moment of realisation. I've got to be honest, the elder member of staff, the elderly
Yeah, I
member
think
of
he
staff,
was the man. He arrived as the
He clocked Frank.
manager arriving.
Yeah.
and suddenly, it was a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I got compliments on my coat.
Yeah, he said to me, "Oh, nice. Oh, no, it's lovely to have you coming in here." And then the whole staff got friendly, didn't they?
They
It was a lovely
suddenly-
moment.
yeah.
If that had happened before you'd ordered, you'd have had another 8 row to eat.
Oh, it was like being a lottery winner. You know what? I was nobody, and then suddenly light emanated from me. It was great. It's one of those rare things you ever get in a sit-down chip shop.
Yeah. Did you notice that, Pierre? The service was lovely after that. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, we went to a Church of England service after.
Yes.
Give thanks for the row. It's a very, very early branch of the Christian Church who wore a row instead of the fish badge.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Has there been outside world, whoa, the outside world? Any voices from afar?
Yes, regarding the warning signs.
Oh yes, this is if you see anyone. Do you have any regular things that you look out for that might put you off? Red flags, I think.
Yeah.
Emily called them.
Red flags, yeah. Thomas Says on Twitter suggests a triple-digit unread email count. And I have bad news for him. I'm approaching 1,500 unread emails on
Wow.
my email client.
I'm good on my phone, but on my laptop it's like 5,000.
Yeah.
Because who reads emails on their laptop? That's for writing novels and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Frankly,
Starbucks.
I've got to be honest, I'm the reverse. I never trust people who have completely clear of any correspondence, of any, if they don't have the little red, because I think you'd be quite a high maintenance friend.
Well,
I think you'd be, you're 1 minute late. Where have you been?
I can't live with a red dot on my email on the front of the phone or on my text. I need to know what that is.
Yeah.
What's unread emails?
Yeah, but I want to know what. I want to know if it's the big offer.
Yes,
It's
that's
finally
true.
come in. Yeah. Like I had a friend who, whenever the phone, his agent had told him that Brookside had inquired about his availability. So you can tell when this was. Brookside was a soap opera in the 80s and maybe the 90s as well. And then he waited for ages and nothing happened. And if ever he heard a phone ring, he would say, "Oh, that'll be Brookside." Even if we were like in a shop and the phone rang. Obviously he was joking by then, but there was always pain. Like so much great comedy, there was tears wrapped up in it. That'll be Brookside. I'd forgotten all about that. Oh, man, the call that never came.
Oh, the waiting for this is the problem with act. I had it with my mother. We were always, my father, I'm afraid, he, bless her, he always used to say, when is she going to realise Trevor Nunn, there was a good ain't here coming up, theatrical middle class ain't, when is she going to realise Trevor Nunn ain't going to call?
Oh,
lovely.
that was like when I had a holiday romance and then I invited her back to my home. And we went for a walk. I remember there was a walk along the canal from Langley Green to Smethwick, which I thought was I loved it. It was factory all the way along. All strange different coloured poisonous smoke that no one was vetting coming out. And I love that industrial landscape. And I took her on that walk, and she was saying, "This is horrible. Why have you... Oh, man, this is horrible." Anyway, she went back home, and I waited for the letter. It was letters in those days. And I remember I actually took up, after about 2 weeks, I pulled all the carpet up in case it had accidentally gotten underneath the fitted carpet, as if such a thing could happen, but the letter never came. Hey, who's laughing now, love?
That's nice. Shows you in a lovely light.
Oh, man. So, yeah.
Can we just quickly squeeze in a few more never trust her
Oh, yes, these are
red
good, yeah.
flags?
We could save somebody's life with these.
Yeah.
Anyone with a red wine smile?
Oh, yeah, they're bad. The corners of the mouth and the one on the bottom of the lip.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The grey teeth.
Yeah.
What's the grey
Well, they
teeth?
sort of turn grey from the red wine.
Have you ever noticed that very ginger people, and my son is ginger and I love gingers, but they have sort of ginger teeth as well.
Eh?
Yeah. If you look close, I don't know if you've ever really stared at a ginger person, but it's like the gums in between the teeth that look a bit ginger. And
Are they redder?
I don't know what it is. They're gingerer.
Is this light reflecting?
No, I think gingerness is a bit more
Profound.
deep fitted. It's a bit more in the actual cells than you might think.
Oh, right.
Like I say, I'm extremely pro ginger. I think it's a beautiful look.
Grey gums.
Molly's ginger, actually.
Have you got grey gums, Molly?
Are you building up
I
to
never said grey, I said ginger.
Are you building up to a gingivitis joke?
No, definitely
Is
not.
that where this terrible train is headed?
No. I don't even not sure what gingivitis is.
It's a gum condition.
It's a gum disease.
Well, that could be something in that. Look, this is what they call observational comedy.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's what they call observational.
I'm going to leave you with this. Anthony Adams, grey leather shoes.
Oh.
I'm with AA on that.
I don't know if I've ever seen grey leather
I have.
shoes.
Do you remember David Pleat?
Yes.
Grey leather shoes.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. I quite like David Pleat.
So do I. But I'm just saying...
You're just saying he can't be trusted. That's what you're inferring.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
By the way, The Simpsons TV show, I think it's absolutely brilliant, but I
Yes.
never want to watch it. How do you explain that?
Is it because you've already watched all of it?
I know, I haven't watched all of it. Every time I do watch one, it's one I've never seen. But I just don't, I don't know what
couldn't
is
agree
it.
more.
How can that be? It doesn't
couldn't
make
agree
any
more.
sense.
I feel a bit I have given up, frankly. If I
Yeah.
sit down to watch it, I feel like, what am I doing with my life? Even though I know it's brilliant and the writing's fabulous.
It's absolutely one of the funniest shows on television.
fantastic.
Clever, inventive, but I don't want to watch it.
Why do we feel that, Pierre?
Well, you've got that. You've spoken before about how cartoons make you feel depressed. So I think
No,
that's
but I
separate.
love cartoons.
But yeah,
I like
I don't
BoJack
know.
Horseman.
Oh, okay. So ironically,
I
normal
didn't get-
cartoons make you feel depressed, but the most depressing cartoon ever made you.
Oh, it's not
enjoy.
just-
Meet me.
It's like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I
Yes.
thought, this is absolutely brilliant. I know I'd never watch it.
Yeah, I agree with that. To be fair, it's sort of like
I think it's already in there. I sort of have a feel of what it is, so
I
I
get
don't
it.
need to reaffirm that.
yes,
You know, I don't go out every day and check what a river looks like.
that's true.
I just know.
I tell you,
And I love them, but I don't need to look at a river every day.
Yeah,
I think it's partly with The Simpsons as well. There's a lot of saturate that I feel there've been so many episodes. It's a bit overload. I just
Yeah.
feel like I'm just watching old
I
stuff.
think I've got it on my hard drive. I know what it's like.
Okay.
But it's I'm honestly, I couldn't rate it more highly.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it.
Okay. We've got some other examples of never trust her.
Oh,
Yes.
Sarcastic fringe head.
Oh, I thought that was someone we should look out for. No, okay.
But baseball caps or any hat when worn by someone driving? Over to you, Frank Skinner.
Well, there used to be a thing about old men in trilbies that people used to go who drove like that. I have to say, any man in a baseball cap who isn't American, I'm always slightly disappointed by.
Yeah.
We had Tim Key as a guest the other week when he came in a baseball. But I loved Tim Key. When he walked in, I thought, no. I think it's very hard for a non-American to carry off a baseball.
Yeah.
Wow, that's hard.
There's been an explosion in trucker hats, especially among the certain sections of the comedy community.
Is that sort of high ones?
High-fronted
Yeah.
baseball
Often a bit
caps.
like a bit of plastic gauze.
Snapbacks.
Those.
In case it gets too hot
Yeah.
or something.
No, I mean, I really, as I speak as an outsider, because I've got a very big head. I
Yeah.
can't really wear hats.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have.
So there's probably a bit of resentment in my attitudes. But it was worth the pain to go there.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Boys, hello.
Is it
If I was
Ava Herzegovina?
No, it's if I was a female prime minister, that's how I'd
Idle,
address.
diddle, dum.
That's how I'd address the media as
cabinet.
I walked out of number 10 in the morning.
Oh,
Hello,
yeah.
boys and ladies. Okay, and everyone.
It's pretty. I mean, God bless you. You're
Inclusive.
probably never going to be a female prime minister.
How dare you? I'll throw it right back. You'll probably never play up front for England.
No.
I think you. Well, you probably
No,
have.
but I'd like to have played up front for England. Would you like to have been a prime minister?
Doesn't it make you feel sick?
I
Looking
just-
at the jobs.
So much bad furniture you have to put up with in meetings. It's all plastic chairs and horrible, wood finish.
Oh,
as
yeah.
they call it.
How do they stay calm? I'd spend every minute going, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?"
I know. Well, if you
you?
think
I'd
of
cry
things, if you
every
think of
minute.
things in your life, like you've got a party to, you've got it, and it's going to be a bit. I don't mean a political party, but say you're having your 40th birthday party, and you're thinking, "Oh God, I haven't invited blah blah blah. Did I do anything about the balloons?"
Yes.
And what about if you're running a country when you're lying in bed at night? And luckily, they're mainly people who don't care.
And maybe it's necessary. I mean, it's definitely a tough job where on day one of the first things you have to sort out is, would I nuke the world?
Yeah, I know. You've got that.
Got to write those letters for the
You've
submarine.
got one of the. I imagine the equipment for nuking the world is like the button on Britain's Got Talent, but in a special room on
Yeah.
its own.
Can I say it was always sold to us in that way? Because people would talk about one person coming in and pressing the button.
Yeah.
And it was sold to us rather in that way.
Yeah, very Wile E. Coyote sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Acme Nuclear Button Company
Yes,
on
exactly.
the box.
Yeah.
Boys, I was going to say, there's something I've been itching to discuss with you both, which is something I came across this week, which rather surprised me. And it was a stat and a survey, and I love a
yeah.
stat and a survey. And it said, I read it this week, that 64% of people have had a bus stop of some description with a neighbour. With a neighbour.
A bus stop?
Yeah.
A bus stop?
Can you not say that?
Bus stop? Oh, sorry, I thought you said bus stop.
No,
A
bus
bus-
stop.
Oh, okay. Like they haven't got together and formed
No,
a
bus
random.
stop. Sorry, it's my accent.
No, your accent's perfect.
But I found this surprising. Not in our case, Frank, in fairness.
High or low? Were you surprised it was?
It was much higher because I would
Oh.
say, let's be honest, you're a bit of a git. I'm a bit of a gittess. It doesn't surprise me. I would expect us to have bus stops regularly. Someone like Pierre, a bit more mellow, yellow perhaps.
I've done my very best to not know a single neighbour.
I think you'd go out with a
Is
club or
that
something.
a line from Leviticus?
Shellfish, rock badgers, it's all off for me.
And have you carried that off? You don't know any neighbours at all?
Don't know a single one. I live in a block of flats, to be fair. It would be harder if it was a house like with houses next door. But
Well, this is true. The Gen Zers and millennials, apparently, they don't. They make a point of not getting to know their neighbours, Frank.
As I grew up with, like, my mum, the neighbours, the next door neighbours was just in and out of our house. You know that thing that people say? They would just come in and sit and talk to my mum. There was the alarm clock incident, of course.
Oh, what was that again?
I've told you. Do you know about the alarm?
I don't know about this.
I'll tell you after this break. It was an unusual piece of neighbouring. I think you'll agree.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So these neighbours,
Were we in the midst of something? I was going to tell you a story.
Oh, yes.
the alarm clock.
Yeah,
This is
so
your mother.
my neighbour, Mrs. Weston, who lived next door, who, after her husband died, my mum made a Sunday lunch, I remember, Sunday dinner, as we called it, every week, and I would take that round, and she'd be waiting, sitting at the table with a tea towel tucked in the top of her jumper, ready for spillage, and a massive spoon in her hand. No other cutlery. So she ate the whole, meat, 2 veg, Yorkshire pudding, all with a big spoon. Took there's a lot of decision making in cutlery. The higher you go up society, the more decision making. She took all that out.
Yeah.
But
Kept it
anyway,
simple. I love that about her.
A disruptor.
So she, and I must have told this on the radio
DJ
before.
Spoony, I
but
love her.
It's fine because I don't think you know it, Pierre. She walked into the house with an alarm clock, put it on our kitchen table, and said to my dad, Len, as he was called his whole life, although his name was John, Len, can you do anything with this alarm clock? He said, what is that? What's happened to it? And she said, we dropped it in the Po. Now, the Po was a colloquial term for the chamber pot in the bedroom because we all had outside toilets. She said, we dropped it in the Po. Remember, it was on the kitchen table. And halfway up the face of the alarm clock was urine. Literally halfway up.
Contained within
the alarm clock.
Like one of those pens, and when you put it upside down, there's a lady.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like a sort of Damien Hirst art piece.
Well, maybe it could have been. But I just remember my dad saying, get it off the table! Get it off the table!
It would be a great sort of piece of modern art. Time in urine.
I also like the woman with one giant spoon who says dropped it in the Po. It's like life in medieval Britain.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, instead it was the West Midlands in the late 60s, early 70s. But even my dad drew the line at that. That was too much. So he refused to mend it or try. I don't know if it would have been mendable.
No.
We won't ask if there's any watchmakers. It's gone now. I think it was abandoned. But
The urine alarm clock.
that's what I the urine alarm clock. It's what I in the wee small hours. But it's what I remember about neighbours mainly.
Yeah.
That was we loved them. We were very close. She was in and out of our house all the time, but that level of intimacy is maybe too much.
I bet David Baddiel's a nice neighbour. Lovely, I imagine.
You know what's weird about Dave is I love David Baddiel. I really love him.
Me too.
And he lives, I think, 10, 12 houses away from me. I probably see him about once a month. And I think so. The idea of the close neighbour, I'm happy to know that he's there, but we don't see each other that. And even when he lived next door to me, we didn't see each other that much. So it's,
That's true friendship.
I find, yes, I once heard, I think it was Johnny Cash said he went fishing with Bob Dylan and they fished for about 5 hours without speaking at all. He said, and that's when I knew we'd become really close friends. And I thought, really? But now, as I've got older, I can kind of see what he meant by that. Just the image of Bob Dylan fishing, I find unbelievable. He must have been rubbish at it. Yeah, where do you put this maggot? No, don't just throw it in on its own, Bob. Anyway, that's the Fez has arrived.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
I saw a panto in Cheltenham this year
Oh, yes?
that featured Tweedy. Are you aware of Tweedy?
I'm not.
I think he's a truly great clown.
Sorry?
I'm
serious.
I'm waiting to discover that actually his profession is something else.
No,
and you're being
he's a clown.
incredibly
He's
damning.
actually a
Is it
brilliant.
Cheryl?
He's a brilliant clown.
Is he a real man?
Yeah.
He's not the Northampton clown, though. That's
No,
mine. He's the
he's
OG.
a professional clown.
It would be great to say to someone's face, "You are a truly great clown," as an insult, though. That's
But
nice.
it was even for me. I found it a bit rude.
Really?
The panto.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some stuff in it, and I thought, oh no. Like, for the second chamber part of the reference of the morning,
Yes.
there's a bit where they're in like a prison or something,
Oh.
and they said, "Oh, I found a Mars bar in the chamber part," and I thought, you're not going to do this joke. And then it, progressed that it wasn't a Mars bar. Why would it been? I don't know. And I just thought, oh no. Please don't talk about that. It's a pantomime. I mean, you expect a bit of, nudge in a pantomime.
But it wasn't one of those, I don't know if you've seen them advertised, adult pantomimes.
No. Well, it wasn't advertised as such.
No.
But I was, I don't blush much.
Well, the adult pantomimes, they're often Sin, S-I-N, Dorella and
That was
things, aren't
the
they?
Jim Davidson.
Oh, was it?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he
Lovely.
wrote a series of them. Anyway, Neighbours.
Yes.
But Tweedy's brilliant. Check him out.
Okay.
So some of the gripes that were listed
Is it the gripes is what Dick Van Dyke makes his wine out of?
What is it with my accent this morning? Bust up and gripe.
No, gripes is
Oh,
correct,
right,
obviously.
that'd be a good little doublet. Bust up and gripes.
Oh, yeah. I'm Jeff Bustup and I'm Steve Gripes. And we are, yeah.
So there was, in addition to, they had parking. That was a huge one. Thoughtless parking was really up there.
Yes.
I don't know how you both feel about that.
I've never done thoughtless parking in my life. It needs such a degree of concentration
Yes.
and planning for me to park anywhere.
No, I can't relate to that any more than I could relate to the phrase thoughtless archery.
No, exactly. Thoughtless archery is even more dangerous.
I've got to be honest, I do have a thoughtless parker.
Do you?
He's a dad.
Lady Penelope, 1964. Now, go on.
He's a dad.
Right.
He's got a large, let's call it an SUV.
Okay.
You know the type.
Yeah.
And I would describe his parking as borderline optimistic, / I'd call him a cosy parker, is what I'd call him. If
Oh,
you
he
know
gets
what I mean.
close to
He
it.
pulls up up to my bumper, baby.
Okay.
He really does. And I want a bit more space next to my bumper.
Yes.
He parks in a sort of Tetris fashion.
Okay.
No, I mean, everything is... I can't get out. I don't know how to address this with him because it feels confrontational.
Yeah.
It's not what I do. I rather talk about him behind his back.
Yeah.
So I just... I've got my revenge by giving him quite a terse hello. And quite a
Okay.
British... I don't know what to do about it, but I can't get out.
Well, the car alarm has ruined this. When I first drive in, you could just bump and back a bit with your car. Give yourself a bit of space. But now the alarm goes off and you're in trouble.
You're snitched upon.
Yeah.
Bins have come up as well, and I know,
Yeah.
Frank, you have had previous with bins, and a number of people on this subject of neighbours have been in touch wanting to know what happened with your very own Bingate incident.
Well, interestingly, one of my bins went missing.
When you say interestingly,
Yeah, well, not that interestingly, looking back on it. But my problem was I had a cluster. I had too many bins, but one of them has gone, and I did actually move one as a sort of gesture of good neighbourhood, and it hasn't been mentioned since. So I think we might have got over that initial hiccup, but I would like my bin back. I mean, who's going to nick a wheelie bin? What are you going to do with that? Have it in the house?
Yeah. It's a sort of...
Serial killer's the only person who would put a wheelie bin to actual, practical, regular use.
Absolute Radio.
And I don't think we've got one in the street that I know of as yet. But even if as long as they can park all right. Obviously, they want a bit of room behind their car so they can get in the boot.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Can I ask a question? You hear about neighbours who play really loud music, who block people's parking spaces and all that. I have never met anyone who said to me, "Yeah, I play really loud music in my flat." And I tell you, I tend to park. They've got to drive, but I park to make it really difficult for them to. I've never met anyone who says, "Yeah, when I go on public transport, I don't use earphones at all. I just have like my phone and watch a whole film.
Yeah.
Everyone has to listen
on a tablet."
Where do they go? The people who actually do it. Why have I never met those people? I've only ever met the victims.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a sort of warehouse somewhere. Where
That's where they live.
Where these awful people are sort of stored to be deployed the next day onto public transport.
But there's plenty of them.
Yeah?
You know, has a friend ever said to you, "Yeah, when I'm on a really crowded train, I like to put my luggage on the seat." No one ever says it.
I used to live with a guy who he would take phone calls on buses and public transport, on above ground trains and things, and he when I said to him, "Would you just shush?"
I'd do that.
No, but he was loud.
Yeah.
He was the loud person on the phone on the bus, you know.
Right,
Everyone else is silent, and he doesn't feel weird. Hello, like that prank show, whatever it was called. It was mad. And these are not business calls either. These are you're just yelling
I like Pierre. He's very proper. Business calls are allowed.
But it's just, if it was boring information, it would be less awkward. But because it was sort of about friends' relationships and things.
I object to intimate conversations in public.
I don't mind.
No, I find it very ostentatious.
They can't make life the silent carriage.
There needs to be more noise, though. If everyone was at it, it would be disguised. But when it's sepulchral.
But when people are watching, like, the Prince of Bel-Air on their phone really loud with no headphones.
Yeah.
I think, what do you think? What are you thinking? Are you thinking, "I'll show them," or are you not even?
They're not thinking. They're just thinking this noise is my.
For certain.
Yeah, they're thinking this noise is my business.
What about when they scroll through Instagram with the volume up? So I'm hearing a snippet of each video. I think, this is nice.
Yeah. So are you those people? And why? 8, 12, 15.
Yeah.
Because we must have some people listening who are those people.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to them. By the way, headphone, is that the right thing? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I get mixed up with earplugs and headphones and headsets.
Earbuds are a type of headphone.
I can't say earbud.
Well, they all wear earbuds now. It's like they've started, the Premier League footballers, they've swapped over the big headphones for the earbuds now.
Yeah, but as I've said before, my ears won't cling to a bod.
Have you got
just
canal
keep falling
issues?
out. I've got canal issues. I think there's a lock on one of my ears, which drains and undrains. No, they just won't stay in a bod.
Well, you need what I'm going to give you. I'm going to gift you, which is a bespoke earplug. They'll take a mould of your canal.
Oh my goodness!
Do you ride for Panto?
A mould of my canal.
I don't know if they'll do the entire canal, but
No.
they take a mould of your earplug, of your ear, and it will be. I'm gonna. Do you know what? That's a lovely present for you.
Well, the other day I realised that I was going to listen to my audio book on the way back from the school run, and I realised I hadn't got the earplugs, headphones things with me. And I thought I'm actually on Hampstead Heath. I could walk along and listen to it. And I thought, no, I don't want to be one of those people.
No.
But I do want to hear from them.
Yeah.
8, 12, 15.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
In terms of these rude people that we want to hear from, I don't think any of them have got in touch. Too busy watching a full illegal download of a film on a tablet on a bus. But 8121 texts in saying, why are American women so loud? We recently went away to Amsterdam on 2 different trips. We had the noisiest of women talking or shouting. Are they not allowed to talk in America?
Is that the Dowager Duchess from Downton Abbey?
Yes.
What is
American women are so loud.
What pray is a weekend?
Is it to shout across those great distances your country contains?
It's very American.
I'd say that is... I mean, I was in a restaurant once with a woman who was very loud, not American.
Oh, thank you very much. I've got a name.
Was it you? And the people on the next table asked if they could be moved. So it can happen.
I once, on a flight, I sat next to a Swedish guy, and he was sat next to his Swedish wife, and they were chatting in Swedish and sort of quite sort of in a hushed sort of airplane level conversation. Oh no. And then when he turned to speak to me in English, he was incredibly loud with an American accent. It was like he'd learned to be loud when he spoke English because he'd learned English from Americans. So he'd sort of go, "Oh, so where are you flying?" Suddenly bellowing in my face.
I like that he could change his whole persona depending on his accent.
As though there'd been some American teacher saying, like, no, really,
just
go for it.
Just for balance, I'm going to tell you a story about an American neighbour I had then. I lived in flats, but not multi, like 6-story flats. And he and his wife lived above me. And I got in one night. He was an American. They were both Americans. I got in one night and he was sitting on the stairs. And I said, you're right. And he said, when I did the accent, he said, well, Sheriff, sure had a hard time. No, he said he'd lost his keys and his wife wasn't back till like 11 o'clock. So he was stuck out. So he was sitting on the stairs. And I said, well, come in. I remember I said, come in and have a coffee. And I never, ever drank coffee, but I thought he was American. I can't give him tea.
Oh, you were trying to show off.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want some milk and cookies? Is that what you're after?
And then maybe we could catch the baseball game.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get you some Jell-O sandwiches. Anyway, I took him in and made him... It was instant coffee because I can't work the machine. And we got talking.
Did you like him?
Yeah, but I had issues with them. Is that in the morning at about 6 o'clock when they got up, you could hear on the floorboards
was it
them
a bit
walking about.
Yeah.
And it was in our lease, can I say, you're supposed to have carpet on the floors for that reason.
Well, of course you should have.
So
carpet.
I'm sitting there thinking, he seems a nice bloke. I've made him coffee. It's all right. Do I bring up the stilettos and his whatever you call those metal bits? We used to call them segs, but I don't think anyone else called them. Yeah. So do I bring it up? Do I not? Stick around.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
I'm just going to hit you with some warning signs / red flags.
Okay.
Andy Stone, someone who starts a sentence with, I'm not going to lie. What say you?
Well, I went on a Harry Potter tour of the West End last week, And the host of that tour was a guy called Ben, who was very, very nice, but he did say, I'm not going to lie, a lot. And then he told an origin story about the Hermione character, which I think might be a lie.
It's bold to go on to host a tour and continuously. I'm not going to lie, but that's where Henry VIII was born.
Well, when I
You
say
say a
bizarre way
lie,
to
she's
start
a
it.
fictional character.
no, but I mean how Emma Watson got the part. Because what he said, when I say a lie, I think it was incorrect. I'm not totally sure about this. I'd love to find out it's true. It's a great story. He said no one else, every girl at Emma Watson's school did an open audition for the Hermione part. She wasn't interested. And in the end, the teacher said she really should do it. So she went in a bit off and got the script and said, all right, let's just get this over with. And they said, perfect. You're absolutely perfect, which is a great story. So then I looked it up on the internet, and weirdly, there's about 4 different how she got the part stories, but not that one that I could see. But things like she'd never acted before was one. A letter from the theatre where she acted regularly, that was what got her in.
Right.
She knew she'd got the part. Anyway, I'd love to get to the bottom of it. If you're listening, Emma.
Yeah.
She won't be.
I mean, it is quite...
I'll tell you more of the tour after, because it was a good tour. But yeah, that just rung a bell. He did say a lot, I'm not going to lie.
Although I do feel... I feel a bit for this gentleman, just because... Not just because you're a bit of a git. I love him.
No, I really liked him. Well, here's an example.
I'll tell you why, though, Frank. You are in an unusual position, you and Kath and Buzz, because you're going on a Harry Potter tour, and your brother-in-law wrote Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Yeah, but we never mentioned that.
Did you not? Oh,
No.
I would have. Why did you keep quiet?
No, I didn't mention that. I haven't forgotten, by the way, about the American Neighbours, but now we're on tour. No, I didn't, because it sounded a bit grand to say that. And what happened was, I'll tell you something else he said. He used the word penguin as a verb
What?
quite a lot.
I don't trust him now.
No, I really
Crossed the
liked
line.
him. It's when we stopped for him to tell, we followed the raised umbrella, unfurled.
Oh.
No, furled. He held up the furled umbrella, and we all followed that. You know,
Like
you
a
do
wand?
with a bit like a wand, but you know the way you do with guides.
Yes.
And then he'd stop us and he'd say, right, come on, penguin up a bit.
Oh,
To
did you
get
not like
close
that?
to him. No, I did like
As
it.
though for warmth.
Is that what penguins do? So that was good, I thought.
Okay.
At least you didn't have to wear a coloured tabard.
No.
Because increasingly they make them do that in group outings.
Really?
And I see the children now, and I think my mother would have withdrawn me from that school.
But anyway,
Back to Frank and the penguin.
so he showed us around, and the way it worked, the tour, was this, is that you didn't pay for it was a free tour, and then at the end you paid what you thought it was worth.
That's a good idea.
But it's the sort of free fringe approach.
Yes.
Where in Edinburgh there's a thing called the free fringe, where you go and see a comedian. If you don't like them, you don't pay. I think often with people, if they do like them, they don't pay, which is poor.
Yes.
So it's a 2-hour tour, and at the end I gave him, I gave him 50 quid.
That's lovely, Frank. How many? 3 of you, yeah?
Because he wasn't going to lie. He reassured you throughout the entire tour.
What
But
is
he
that
was
word?
good. He was good. He was very animated and
I'm a
blah,
bit
blah.
dyslexic. How many is that, Pierre, between three of them?
It's 17.
Oh, God,
No,
maths
it's
is
just a
not my-
little under. It's 16,
Something.
60
Okay,
six
this isn't great.
each.
What I think this is very
The producer's
generous.
going crazy. She's hitting me, saying
Okay,
shut up.
Okay.
But this isn't great. We'll leave it there. We've got 2 cliffhangers going now. Goodness.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Where were we? Oh, you were going to say something you don't approve of.
Well, I mean, let's narrow it down.
It was on the subject of my Harry Potter tour and the pay if you what you think it's worth.
Yeah, you see, no, I like that you. I think that's very generous.
Well, I don't know what other people gave. I just know that some people just walked away.
What sort of? I mean, these are animals.
Those were the people. As they walked away, did they get out a tablet and start watching a full film?
Yes, I think they did.
With no headphones.
And then walked to the car that was parked over the disabled slope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know what goes on there.
My father would say, walking through the tube, whenever he saw a person, generally with a sort of silver bowler hat doing a tap dance, you know, in the entrance of the tube station, he'd say, I will always reward somebody who sings for their supper.
There you go.
Okay. And they sung for their supper, these
Well, I thought this guy gave the tour he gave it his full works.
Do you recommend? How many stars?
Well, if I had a criticism, I'd say there was a lot of stuff that inspired
It sounds like
things
you've got
in
a few.
Harry Potter rather than the actual... Because filming in central London is so ridiculously expensive. I think what would happen is that J.K. Rowling would go down somewhere that looked like Nocturne Alley and said, this is brilliant. If we film here for a day, it's £1.6 million. Let's build one that looks like this in the studio. It'd be cheap. So there was that. But it was. I loved it personally. Buzz loved it. Kat loved it. She doesn't even know Harry Potter.
Does she not?
Also, there was a fabulous moment which was worth 50 quid, where Ben, the guide, said, "Right, I'm going to ask you a question." He said, "No one ever gets this. If you get this, I'll buy you a round of drinks." He said, "Right, Mr. Ollivander, who makes the wands." Hope I've got the name right now.
You do?
He said, "What's his first name?"
Ooh.
Anyone in here? Molly, you're a Harry Potter fan.
God.
You a Harry Potter fan, aren't you?
Yeah, not at that level, though.
No. So Buzz
I
sticks
noticed he didn't even look at me. He knows.
Buzz sticks his hand up, Garrick, and he went, "Oh my God." But did we get the round of drinks? Did we, Buffalo? So 50 quid plus a round of drinks. You could call it the payment, seeing as we didn't get the round of drinks.
Okay.
Anyway, so the American neighbour.
Yes, our original cliffhanger.
So he said.
Oh, yes!
He said, "What do we like as neighbours upstairs?"
He brought it up.
Yeah. By then, you know, he was on his second coffee.
Sure.
I think I'd made him a corn dog.
I was to say,
Which is good because I don't actually know what that is.
you'd offered him a Chevrolet.
Yeah, exactly.
Highway car.
We'd had some Hershey kisses.
Sure.
but that's our business. And he said, "So what do we like as neighbours? What do we like to live beneath?"
I call these moments in Frank Skinner's life. Could have left it, but I didn't.
Shame to waste an opportunity like that. But unfortunately, now I've been silenced again, so it's another cliffhanger. I'm falling down. It's like steps rather than a cliff.
Yes.
Hanging from the next one down. You know when they fall over a cliff and then you look over the side and they're hanging by a tree that's growing out? I'm like that.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
So this American neighbour says to me, "What do we like as neighbours? What's it like living beneath us?" I said, "Well, to be honest, first thing in the morning, you're a bit of a nightmare." I said, "Because you're both..." I said, "I don't know if your wife wears stilettos. It sounds like you both wear stilettos. But it's really loud." And he said, "Oh, sorry about that. You should have come up and complained." And I thought, I should, you know, but the stairs... And also, I'm not going to complain at like 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Should you, though? Why is the onus on you to correct their behaviour?
Well, because
shouldn't they think we've got neighbours below?
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So we had this, and we talked. I think I gave him a Reese peanut butter bar.
Oreos.
Yes, some Oreos.
And a rifle.
And oh no, don't spoil it. This is the balance for your anti-loud American thing.
Yeah, sorry.
So anyway, he went off. His wife arrived at about 11:30, and he went off.
With a bowl of chowder.
And tap shoes.
And yeah, exactly. She arrived on stilts. So
Did they stop?
it stopped.
But how?
It just stopped. So the next, probably I didn't see him again for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And he said, how are we in the mornings now? And I said, really quiet. And he said, yeah, we've had monkey bars fitted in every room, so we don't touch the floor. I don't know, he didn't say that. But that would have been great.
That would be like an enclosure.
Just swing it across. Oh, man. No, he said, I went out the next day and bought house slippers for both of us. And that's what we wear in the mornings.
Much warmer than our house clogs that we'd been.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we didn't even live in a house. He could have got flat slippers, but no. Actually, you wouldn't call it a flat, would he?
No.
He'd call
apartment.
Would he call it a condominium? What is a condominium?
A condo and a walk up, all these things.
No, but what is a condominium? What does that? I've never dared, as a Catholic, I've never dared look it up. What is it? Is it a flat or a house?
It's an apartment, essentially.
So it's just another word for a flat.
They're low-rise apartments, aren't they?
Yeah, and there are stipulations. I don't know what they are associated. I'm sure we'll have some Americans who can inform us.
Yeah, if they're still listening after.
They seem to always have residence associations.
Will they be texting in with block capitals? The Americans?
I tell you what they always go on about as well, the co-op board. Oh,
Yeah.
The Americans and their co-op boards.
What is that? I don't
The
know what that
co-op
is.
board decides who can live there. So
Yeah.
in your apartment, the co-op board, it's normally a lot of elderly women whose relatives came over on the Mayflower families.
Sound like my kind of girl.
Pilgrims.
Yeah.
But they sort of sit and frown at you and ask you if you
They
wear
ask
clogs instead of
questions.
slippers.
So they'll, like,
Do you
for
have
example,
parties, you know?
The Dakota building, which, as you know, John Lennon famously lived in. I
Yes.
think he struggled for a while. I think they let him through.
John Lennon struggled to
Oh,
get
yeah,
in.
they wouldn't let Madonna's been turned down from
I mean,
certain
they were
buildings.
barefoot most of the time. Him and Yoko, that would
Well,
have
they
been
don't
all
want
right.
love-ins and
And
things.
they tried not to get out of bed, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And they lived in a bag for a while.
But that's lovely and quiet. You know,
Yes.
they're lovely, quiet neighbours, no shoes.
Yeah.
Though she screamed a lot, Yoko. There's an album
Oh,
with a track which is just her screaming, absolutely.
the co-op wouldn't like that.
No. Or Aldi.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
I had someone move in and it was one of those, oh dear, moments. I thought, I'm going to go over and say hello. They've moved in. I'll be, let's keep the party polite. The removals van was arriving. And you know what I saw being carried off and into the house? A gong.
No.
Goodness.
Now, when I say gong, I'm talking beginning of the Carry On films size.
Yeah.
Remember that, Frank, if you care to remind our readers?
Yes, there was an enormous gong, which, if I remember rightly, was struck by the middleweight British boxer bombardier Billy Wells.
Right.
Yeah, and he used to hit this enormous gong. Was it for the Rank
The Rank
organisation?
organisation.
Yeah.
Well, since New Year's, you've got your own enormous gong now, Frank.
Well, that is
Oh.
true, but we don't talk about that. I haven't got it yet.
When I saw the gong, I didn't get a good feeling.
When I see the gong, I think of the Holy Trinity. Remember that?
And I thought, it's so big, it'll be decorative, surely.
Yeah.
But you'd be anxious around mealtime.
I found out the next... It turned
Or
out...
at the start of any martial arts bout that could be happening.
It turned out breakfast was a big occasion in their house.
Oh.
You're kidding.
6:35 a.m.
Oh, wow.
My entire place was shaking.
It's the way you sort of summon all the characters in a murder mystery to breakfast, isn't it?
And then I realised they'd allowed the gong banging duties to be given to their child, who would bang it constantly and then scream and laugh. I asked the mother. I took it up. I said, look, I just wondered if you could maybe just be aware of the, maybe do this after 6:45 a.m. maybe. She said, oh, is it noisy for you? I'm not aware of noise. I'm a mother, so you get much more tolerant of noise.
Oh, that's savage.
Well, yes, but what was great is it gave me an opportunity to test out that tolerance. So I discovered a lovely dubstep horror, which is a form of niche music. And I thoroughly recommend playing Organ Boy by Zombie, I think it's called.
Right.
Organ Donor by Zombie Boy, it was called.
Okay.
At full blast.
All right.
Yeah.
They moved out 3 months later.
Goodness.
Honestly,
wow,
they
that
moved.
really was loud music.
It was.
Well done,
I
Zombie
think
Boy. Oh, I wouldn't want one of his organs, would you?
No.
No, not if he's already a zombie.
It'd be decayed, obviously.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've been talking about co-ops and what exactly they are in America. And they're a form of apartment, we've said. Robert Clements has...
No. Co-ops aren't a form of apartment.
Condominiums.
Oh,
Condominiums,
condos.
yeah.
No, but co-ops, I'm so sorry. You asked what the co-op did on an apartment, because Americans often refer to the co-op, don't
Right,
they?
I'd never heard it until you and Pierre said it.
They're a board. And Robert Clements says...
Samuel H. Clements.
Co-ops and condominiums are USA American, they're funding modelled. I don't quite understand what that means, but,
Do you know who Samuel Clements is? Mark Twain.
In terms of the noisy neighbours, 190 Colditz on Twitter sends us...
They had noisy neighbours digging all the time.
yeah, at all hours. Yeah. Every Tom, Dick and Harry coming and going.
That board game, Escape from Colditz.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I think it's a bit inappropriate. It's probably been cancelled now, is it? I think they...
I don't know, was it inappropriate?
Well, the subject matter was a little...
Well,
But, it's not very Christmassy. But I did love that game.
Yeah.
Which side were you, Frank, when you played it, just out of interest? Did you prefer to
What,
be...
were the Nazis in it?
Yeah, you could be German or prisoner.
I didn't realise that. I thought we were all... Oh, no, I don't want to... I mean, no disrespect to any Nazis that are listening, but I wouldn't want to be... I wouldn't want to be of their number.
No. Well, I don't know the naming provenance of 190 Colditz, but he sent us a note that he got from a hotel manager, I think last summer. A little printed out, letterhead and everything. I'm going to read it as a sort of poem, which is how it's written. English is not their first language, so they've done their best. Good morning, the management thanks you for choosing us. We kindly ask you after 10 p.m. in your room, keep the utmost silence, not to move chairs or anything else. Unfortunately, in the room below, we have an unfriendly gentleman who is in great need of rest. Thank you very much to the management.
Oh, I love this person.
I feel that I have in the room below an unfriendly gentleman, and it's me.
I think you are.
Oh, that's a great note, though, worth keeping.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more. I'm trying to sell that. I quite like my neighbours, I got to be honest.
You've got a bit of a sort of Albert Square. Well, I mean, I say the Albert Square with underfloor heating.
Yeah.
But you've very much got that vibe going on. You've got a lovely collective in your street.
There's a man who lives across the road. I won't name him, but he imports chocolate.
Oh, he's so proud of this, Frank. He's always boasting about it.
And I'll see him in the street and we'll talk a bit, about how things are and stuff. And he'll say, do you want a bit of chocolate? And I'll say, yeah. And he'll get like about 5 bars. Like, I mean, not from, full size.
From inside a big coat.
From wherever he's, he's always got a bit.
He's a bit posher than, he's a bit like Sir William Wonka rather than Willy Wonka.
Well, no, to be honest, it's all like, I can't remember what the term is, fair trade, is that what it is?
Yeah,
So it's all like very ethnically gathered.
I think I've sampled his wares, it's lovely.
It's great. If there's any kind of outside event going on, like, when we used to applaud the NHS, I couldn't get out fast enough. Well done, we love the NHS. Have you got a plain one? Yeah, it's good. It's good to have a neighbour who's in the chocolate business.
Do you go into his or does he bring it over? Do you go into his lair?
No, usually he's just in the street. He'll give it me or on the heath.
Do you see the shadows of tiny figures through the windows of his house?
What,
Yeah,
the
they're-
chocolate lab.
Yeah, it's those, you know, those chocolate people used to get on the adverts for, used to be one of the sort of advert buffers on Coronation Street. Used to be
Oh, and they're,
chocolate
like, made
people
of
who were from
sweets.
Quality Street or something.
Oh, yeah.
They were actually chocolate people.
Okay.
Like jelly babies, but made of chocolate. So anyway, thanks for listening. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.